Hello, good day, guys. This is the welcome to St. Lucia, Moorings, St. Lucia. This will be the chart briefing for the Windward Islands from St. Lucia all the way down to Grenada. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay, guys, the Moorings base is located on the island of St. Lucia, and it's in Rodney Bay Marina, which is the north part of the island. St. Lucia has two airports. It has a small airport, which is like 30 minutes away from the base, which is in Rodney Bay. And the international airport is Hiranura, which is an hour and a half away from Rodney Bay Marina. Only when you charter with us, when you get to the airport, our transfer rep will meet you at the airport and guide you to the taxi, which will then take you to Rodney Bay Marina, which is home of the Moorings base. Okay, good day, guys. Normally when you get to the base, your charter, you normally have two starts. Either a regular start, which starts at 12 noon, or your evening starts, which starts at 6 in the evening. Okay, as you sail the islands, your general information, when you do get on board, you'll be briefed, but also that as you first sail through the islands, we'd like you, before you when you step on shore through the islands, that make sure you have a good amount of repellent for mosquitoes and sunflies in the evening. If you do stepping on shore, lots of sun lotion, as down here it gets pretty warm and hot. And then as you go through the beaches through the Windward Islands, there's the manginil tree, which when you do step on shore, you have to be very careful with that. Sometimes if rain falls, you really don't want to end up standing underneath it, because then it can be quite toxic. Okay then, as you check with your Moorings customer service and you do get on board, you'll be given an inventory list which has all equipment on the boat. That's they've been checked by one of our personnel. We would like you yourself to go through it to check that, make sure the equipment is on the boat. It's on board. If you do have any inquiries or any questions, you will check with customer service. Okay, pre-cruise checklist. Okay, dinghy. Make sure you check your dinghy and it's complete with all the equipment on board. That you have the correct charts for sailing in the area, which you will be sailing the Windward Islands, which the Windward Islands starts from the top island of Martinique and goes all the way last island of Grenada. You'll have 7 sets of charts on the boat, which is from Martinique all the way down to Grenada. So make sure you have the correct charts before you depart. Snorkeling gear is provided for you. However, you need to make sure that you check with the dock staff to make sure you have the appropriate gear, and you check it and you make sure it fits and works before you take it on board. It's been kept on the boat. Provision and beverages, if you do provision with us, that the beverages and the provision will be put on board before departure. You would like you to go through it to check and make sure everything is there in the package is there. And if you have any questions and inquiries, you check with customer service. Make sure if you have rented a kayak from us that it's secured and it's already been put on the boat you'll be sailing with. Your pre-cruise also checklist. Make sure that you get your boat orientation before you leave, your boat tow. A cell phone will be granted to you as to if you have any problems with the boat while sailing in the cruising area, that you could use it to call the Moorings base and alert them as to what problems you may have with the boat, or if you're trying to get a water forecast or so. Your inventory list is complete and checked before departure. That you have fill out your flight reconfirmation form to customers and hand it to customer service. So on your departure back out of the sailing, that your flight will be reconfirmed while you're out sailing, so you don't have a problem flying out. Your rental agreement is signed and is handed over to customer service. Your boat keys and padlocks are on the boat, and your boat papers and documentation on the boat, as you require your boat papers to collect customs and immigration. That you do understand the boat owner's manual, your skipper's notice. An orientation will be given to you about the boat, which will explain your mechanical and technical systems on the boat. that you understood and you checked and understood it. Your water tanks will be filled up for you. We would like you, before you leave the dock, make sure that your water tanks are topped off before you leave, that you know where the correct valves are for switching the water for the various tanks, and that you understand where they are, the location. Have you checked your toilets and make sure you know how they operate and they're operational before departure. For pre-departure, your outboard engine is checked and operational before departure. Security-wise, for your boat, for locking your boat while ashore, if you're not unattended, make sure you have 2 padlocks, one for the dinghy, one for the outboard motor. When leaving the boat unattended, that you carry with you cash, wallets, your papers, important documents that you will need, you take them with you. And make sure when you're not on board, you lock the boat when on shore. If you are on board, you wouldn't need to lock the vessel. Okay. Check your pre-provisioning list before departure and check with customer service directly to make sure that you have everything on board. You checked and authorized order your provisionings, and it's been checked and put on board. Rental agreement, boat papers, and a last clearance form. As you know, the Windward Islands, you're sailing from Martinique all the way down to Grenada. They are not just one set of islands all connected together. It's 4 different islands. So Martinique is the first island of the Windwards. It's got the French rules and regulations. The next island is St. Lucia, which is in English, which is the island you're going to start from. And then the next island down from St. Lucia is St. Vincent. Now, St. Vincent is called St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which starts from St. Vincent all the way down to Petit St. Vincent. So you got St. Vincent, Bequia, Mustique, Canoan, Meru, and Tobago Keys, Palm Island, Union Island, and Petit St. Vincent. These all form St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Petit Martinique, Carriacou, and the island of Grenada forms the rest of the Windward Islands, which will be Grenada territorial waters. As you're sailing through the islands, you encounter boat boys. And these are very friendly people. You come across, some of them are fishermen, some of them are boat vendors, which sell fruits, vegetables, ice. They may also help with mooring balls, and some of them own mooring balls, which they will help you to assist you with. They're very nice and very friendly, as well as you got to maintain that you're in charge of the boat, so you decide exactly how you want the boat tied or where you want the boat, and don't follow the orders of anybody else. Customs and immigration procedure. For customs and immigration, there is a charge for customs and immigration for the Windward Islands. And you're required to change 400 ECs into East Caribbean currency, which is about 1,000 ECs. And that will cover water, ice, if you need fuel for the dinghy or for the boat. It also covers your, if you need petrol for the dinghy. It also covers ice, mooring balls, and also your customs fees. Customs on St. Lucia, there are 3 offices for customs on St. Lucia, which is Rodney Bay, Marigot Bay, and Soufrière Bay. On St. Vincent, you have 1 customs office, which is in the southern end of St. Lucia, which is Blue Lagoon. And however, also onto the next island, you have Bequia, which is part of St. Vincent. There is also a customs office. As long as you check customs in St. Vincent or you checked in Bequia, you get a cruising permit to go through all the smaller islands south down to Petit St. Vincent. So you will check in through, you don't need to go to customs in Mustique, Canoan, Meru, Tobago Keys, Union Island, Palm Island, Petit St. Vincent. If you, however, moving on to Grenada, you would first need to go to the Union Island to check out customs, which will grant you permission to sail down to Carriacou. For those of you just getting as far as St. Vincent the Grenadines, you will get as far as Union Island and Petit St. Vincent. On your way back, you would either check back out of customs out of Bequia or check customs out of St. Vincent for St. Lucia. And when you return to St. Lucia, then you check customs either in Rodney Bay, in the Piton, Soufrière, Marigot Bay, or Rodney Bay. Customs procedure is you check with customs when you come in, and then make sure when you leave in the country, you do need to check out. Only 1 person who is recommended to go to customs, which will be the captain, which will have the boat documents, which you'll need the passports, crew list, and the boat papers. Okay, the authorities would like to see the captain, and then boat has to be in that port you're going to clear in customs. It wouldn't be in one port and then you get to go to another port for checking customs. The port you're in, so if you're in Beckway in Admiralty Bay, that's where you check customs. You would have to check customs, but you can't leave the boat in Friendship Bay and then check customs in Admiralty Bay. It has to be in the boat, in the port that you're going to check in customs. As you go through the islands, there will be some anchorage fee and some mooring ball fee. In Tobago Keys, the park fees are 10 EC per person. And if you do take a mooring ball in Tobago Keys, it's going to cost you 45 ECs. In Mustique, which is also named as Island of the Rich and Famous, the mooring ball is 220 ECs or 75 US, which is for 3 nights. No anchoring is allowed. In Beckway, Admiralty Bay, the mooring balls are 50 EC per night. Anchoring in the Windward Islands is very simple, and most anchorages between the average in depth is between 10 to 15 feet of water, and it's mainly sandy bottom area. However, when you do come into an anchorage, make sure you arrive in ample time and at least 30 minutes prior to sunset. As sometimes in the windwards, in the later part of the year, the twilight becomes a lot shorter and it becomes dark earlier. When you do anchor, make sure you swim over the anchor to ensure that the anchor is holding. If you're not sure that it's dug in, just a quick swim over it would give you the assurance that it's holding. And yachts are not, our boats are not, moorings boats are not insured for night sailing. If, however, you do want a night sail, you need to get a waiver, sign a waiver from the moorings-based manager prior to departure. Your support base, as you move through the islands, if you do encounter any problem with the boat, on St. Lucia, our mooring space monitors channel 1616 between 8 and 4:30. However, you do have a little cell phone which will be given to the captain prior to departure. You would recommend using that to call the moorings customer service as to if you have any problems with the boat in whatever location, and then we will assign a technician to come to you. In Canawan, the support personnel there monitors channel 16, and then the moorings base in Grenada monitors channel 1414 between 8 and 4:30 in the afternoon. When using your VHF through the islands, the main channel and the international channel is channel 16, so which is as a hailing channel. And once you make contact with whichever station you're going to call or ship to shore, you would need to move to a working channel, preferably channel 1414, which is required for that, which you can carry out your conversation. Weather through the islands. The weather forecast through the islands, you have various weather stations, and some of them are listed here for you, but some of them which is not listed, which will grant you off into your skipper's notice in your boat bags when you do charter with the moorings. And then Radio Martinique monitors channel 1310 kilohertz FM. Radio St. Lucia, which is 97.3 FM. The Wave Radio, which is 94.5 FM, and Radio Grenada, which is 535 kilohertz FM. Any one of those radio stations relay a 24-hour weather forecast to you. However, if you're unable to get a weather report and you do have Wi-Fi or internet service on your boat, you can Google www.windguru.com, and which will give you an hour-by-hour weather forecast on the net. If you're unable to get WindGuru, you can also log on to www.passageweather.com, and you click on the Windward Islands, and then it will give you hour-by-hour weather report on the winds, the currents, wave heights, and basically tidal currents. However, if you're unable to get any weather report at all, you're required to pick up your little cell phone, which was granted to you by the mooring space, and that you could call customer service, and we get a daily weather report, which we will then relay to you. Hurricane season in the Windward Islands starts from June to November. However, we do advise you that you keep your cell phone on. If there is any expected weather, that the mooring space will do get in contact with you and and advise you as to the next move or to the next port of call, to safe port of call. Fish traps. As you sail through the islands, you're going to see markers, but also on the coast of the island, the fishermen do set traps for lobster and fish. Be very careful as to when you're sailing on the coast. If you see those markers, you will need to go around them. If you see two of them together, don't go between them, as there may be a line which connects the two together. So it'd be better to go around it. If, however, you do get one of those wrapped around in the propeller, you'll be advised to not cut it, but try to get it off, unravel it, as it could be, as it is somebody's livelihood. But keep a sharp lookout to avoid getting those caught in your propeller. The cardinal rules in the windwards, which would be windward boat gives way, boat on port tack gives way, overtaking boat gives way, vessel on the power gives way to sail. And if the ship is mighty and big, you need to stay out of the way, as metal and fiberglass don't go very well. In any groundings or collisions and any damage to the vessel, we advise you that you call the moorings base ASAP as soon as possible to report it to the base manager, the moorings base manager. When anchoring, as I said before, make sure you swim over the anchor if you're not too sure as to your holding, and use the down dive flag when you're snorkeling on the outer reef. Snorkeling on the open coral reef, make sure you guys swim all together, like you swim in a group and not single, as to basically keep everybody together, as currents on the outer reef can be stronger than normal. The dinghy, when you do setting up the dinghy or taking on the dinghy on for snorkeling or shore activities, to make sure prior to departure that you have the various gear on board, that a dinghy anchor is kept on board, paddles or oars is kept on board, that the fuel tank, the petrol tank is filled up and has enough petrol to take you to your arrival and departure back to the boat. Padlocks to lock make sure the motor, the outboard motor is locked to the dinghy, and make sure you have a lock to lock the dinghy to the boat or to a dinghy dock. A container with a flashlight is kept on board, and if there are non-swimmers, a life jacket or two in there to make sure everybody is safe. If returning, going on shore in the evening, in light, and coming back in the dark, make sure you do have a flashlight on board. Kayak. If you, however, you do rent a kayak from us, from the moorings, make sure your safety that when you do go in kayak, that you notify anyone of your intended destination. Bring plenty of water, wear sunscreen, and never kayak at night on the evening. When towing the dinghy, tow the dinghy as far back as you can to avoid getting it caught in the propeller. And when you do come into shore to pick up a mooring ball or whether to put the anchor down, make sure the dinghy is brought all the way in close to the stern of the boat, as to when you maneuver in over the anchor or for the mooring ball, that you do not get the line caught up in the propeller. When you do, however, also barbecue grill, when you're using the barbecue grill, make sure the dinghy is brought alongside, whether it's on the port side or starboard side, to avoid any sparks blowing into the dinghy and having any fireworks. Okay, this has come to our chart segment here, and I will go through the charts with you, which will give you a broad sight of exactly most of the anchorages or all the anchorages that will be sailing. Like I said previously, the moorings base is located in Rodney Bay Marina, which is located in the north part of the island. And this is Rodney Bay. So when you do come, the docks here, this is where our moorings docks are, the docks for the moorings base. When you do depart, you come out through this narrow channel right here, and you come out through the two channel markers, and you come out to the outside part of Rodney Bay. The outside part is a very open anchorage, and you come stick to the middle of the bay, as either side of the bay would have boats on anchor. You come out to the middle, and then you put your sail out. You put your sail right up into the middle here, and you do sail on out. Before departing Rodney Bay, if you're heading south, you would require to do customs, which customs hours is in Rodney Bay are between the hours of 8 to 12 and from 1 to 4:30 in the afternoon. The charges for customs for St. Lucia, they will charge you on departure 60 ECs, and if it's a Saturday, Sunday, or any holidays, you'll be charged 100 EC for the overtime fees. As you do exit the Rodney Bay, you could travel on the coast of the island, quarter mile of the island. As the island is volcanic, it's stick to a quarter mile off. When exiting Rodney Bay, south of Rodney Bay Point, there's a reef called the Barrel of Beef Reef, which you need to leave to port side before exiting out Rodney Bay. As you sail down the coast of St. Lucia, you come down an hour and a half, which is 5.6 miles sailing, which will take you to the first anchorage on St. Lucia, which will be Marigot Bay. Coming into Marigot Bay, if you're coming in on the outer entrance of Marigot Bay, the north part of the outer entrance is reserved for boats who just want to anchor. So if you do want to anchor, there are no mooring balls. It's all anchoring on the north outer part of the bay. On the south outer part of the bay, these are all mooring balls, and these mooring balls are run by the water taxi guys in the bay. If you stick to the middle, which will be the channel, marked channel, and you come up to the inner part of Marigot Bay, anchoring is prohibited, and you're only allowed to take a mooring ball. However, if you do prefer to go onto the dock, the Marigot Bay Marina offers a full service marina, with which you can offer dockage, water ice, garbage disposal, as well as there is also another customs office, which you can also check in or check out. Customs there opens between the hours of 8 to 12 and 1 to 4:30 in the afternoon, evening. When you do pick up a mooring ball in the inner part of the bay, these are run by the Marigot Bay Marina, and you're required to take your dinghy over to the marina and to the marina office, which will be charged 80 ECs for the night for the mooring ball. In Marigot Bay, there are loads of restaurants. You have the Marigot Beach Club, which is on the north part of the bay. On the south part of the bay, they have numerous restaurants and bars and happy hour to cater for. So if you do want to eat off the boat at night, basically that's one of the nights you can choose to eat off. When exiting Marigot Bay, the same way you came in, stick to the middle passage of the bay and exit the outer entrance. You can travel quarter mile off the bay, off the island, which will then take you another 45 minutes south, which will then take you to the anchorage of Anse Cochon. Anse Cochon is only recommended as a day anchorage, not an overnight anchorage. And if you do anchor to the middle of the bay in about 15 to 20 feet of water. The snorkeling on the north side of the bay is really wonderful snorkeling, as well as the south side of the bay. This is a very famous anchorage for a lot of day charter boats, as a lot of day charter boats frequent this anchorage in season. However, later on in the evening, all of them leave and then to take the passengers back up to Rodney Bay. But it's not an overnight anchorage, it's only a day anchorage, so you're not advised to spend the night, as it can be rolly at nighttime. Sailing south from Anse Cochon down to Anse de Piton, which is the southern anchorages of St. Lucia, which will only run you from Anse Cochon down to the Pitons, an hour and a half sailing. As before you enter into Soufrière and Anchasny Point gets really shallow, so you need to leave that quarter mile off before you come into Soufrière Bay. There are loads of mooring balls to take from. Anchoring is not allowed, as it's quite deep to put the anchor out. When you do come in, if you come in off the Soufrière waterfront, you need to pick up a mooring ball there, as well as south of Soufrière town, which is the Marguerite anchorage, and then you also have the Pitons anchorage. Each one of these anchorages are within dinghy reach, but however, you're required to take a mooring ball, as anchoring is prohibited. When you do pick up a mooring ball, the mooring ball is going to cost you 50 EC, which is run by the SMMA, which is the Soufrière Marine Management Area. And they're the one who man the park area, which the park area is from Gros Piton all the way up to Anchasny. They will write you up a receipt in the evening, write you up when they come to your boat, and then you pay them 50 EC or equivalent to 20 US. The Pitons and Soufrière is home to the only drive-in volcano in the world, the Botanical Gardens, as well as waterfalls, the mud bath, sulfur springs. So for those of you guys who really want to see a bit of St. Lucia and want to explore a little bit on the island, it is very highly recommended, which is it's half an hour from any taxi ride from either one of the anchorages of the Pitons or the Soufrière Bay. For those of you guys heading south down to St. Vincent for the following day, if you have already checked, if you haven't checked customs, also you can do that in Soufrière Bay, which is also the times are 8 to 12 and 1 to 4:30 in the afternoon. And that would depart you for some, has you depart for St. Vincent. As long as you've checked customs out of St. Lucia, they grant you 24 hours permission to remain on the island. So you don't have to leave the same day, you can use the following day. But however, when you do sailing south down to St. Vincent, we recommend you take an early start, as the points from Pitons all the way down to the point of St. Vincent will run you about, it's about 30 miles, nautical miles, which will run you about 3.5 hours sailing. When you do sail down, you come across a heading of 210 to 205. 205 to 210 will set you in the right direction, which will then take you down, especially down to the west coast of the island. As you're approaching the north part of St. Vincent, be very careful, as currents can be strong and the ground swells can be also a little bit higher than usual. And you're coming down to the west coast of the island. The first anchorage you're going to encounter on the northwest coast of St. Vincent, which will be Cumberland Bay. Cumberland Bay is a very deep anchorage, and as you come in, it's preferably to stick to the closer to the northern part of the anchorage, as it's a lot deeper than the southern part of the anchorage. The point of the southern part gets really shallow, as is the little coral reef, so it's better to stick to the northern point of the anchorage. When you do come on in, it's not a normal anchor. You're required to do a Mediterranean anchoring, which you'll need to put an anchor off and then back on stern to and get a line to a palm tree, which will then hold you in. As the bottom of the ocean is a level, it slopes quite well, so you will need to have a line on shore. There are numerous boat boys in the area, as they would help you out in getting a line to the shore. The fee for doing this will cost you 20 ECs, which is like $6 US. From Cumberland Bay, you move along, which is half an hour, will take you around the corner to Walilebu Bay. Walilebu Bay is the anchorage which Walt Disney used to film the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, which was filmed in this anchorage. And as you come in, you can anchor anywhere off the dinghy jetty, and you will be required to do a stern to anchor, which is a Mediterranean anchoring, as the bottom of the ocean, bottom of the anchorage is quite deep. So you put an anchor out and then get a line to the palm tree to tie you off. Walilebu Bay, from there on, you move over to Curtains Bay, which is right around the corner. So you come right round, and that takes you into Curtains Bay. And Curtains Bay has mooring balls, as well as you can anchor stern to the beach, with a line will take you onto the palm tree. Okay. Normally boat boys in Curtains Bay and Walilebu Bay, which basically will assist you in getting the line to the palm tree. However, Curtains Bay, Walilebu Bay, and Cumberland Bay, these anchorages are used for those of you guys sailing south and then sailing back north, back up to St. Lucia, which you use one of these anchorages to shorten the trip going back off north to St. Lucia. As you know, the winds come from normally in a northeasterly direction. Sailing south is a lot easier, as sailing back north could be a little bit harder on the wind. So to shorten the 30-mile crossing, you would require to spend the night in one of these anchorages heading back north, and that would shorten your crossing going back to St. Lucia. As you proceed south down on the coast of St. Vincent, you come down to the middle part of the island from Curtains Bay. This bay is about an hour down south, and you come over to the Bay of Petit Bayou. When you come into Petit Bayou, you come in and anchor right to the middle of the bay in about 10 to 15 feet of water, as this anchorage is only a day anchorage. The snorkeling on the north and the south part of the anchorage is really, really fantastic snorkeling. This anchorage is used as a day anchorage and not an overnight. The reasons being is that the winds can come from any direction, which will swing you around on 360 on the anchor, which could pop your anchor. As well as daytime, you can keep an eye on the boat, but nighttime you can't. So we only advise us to use it as a day anchorage and not a night anchorage. From Petit Bayou, if you're heading down to Beckway, which will only runs you an hour and a half sailing down there, or if you're heading further south down to the southern end of St. Vincent, which will take you to the 2 anchorages south on St. Vincent. The first anchorage on St. Vincent, which will be Young Island, which is called Young Island Cut. Young Island is one island which is separate from the mainland of St. Vincent, and then you have the mainland of St. Vincent. So the anchorage is called Young's Island Cut. Because of the depth of the anchorage, anchoring is not allowed or not permitted, as it could be quite deep in certain anchorages, as well as there's numerous amount of mooring balls in the anchorage. However, you're required to take one of those mooring balls, and the fee for those mooring balls are 20 US or 50 EC for the night, and these mooring balls are run and owned by Charlie Tango Yacht Services, which is also a taxi guy and also runs the mooring service in the anchorage. If, however, you want to move over from Young Island over to Blue Lagoon, you need to go around and come in on the outside of Young Island, keeping the 2 channel markers right returning and coming to the anchorage of Blue Lagoon. If you prefer, Blue Lagoon is a full service marina, as well as if you want to anchor, you could normally would take a mooring ball on the outside of the marina, as well as there's dock space. You can utilize the dock as to its dockage, you have ice, water, as well as there is also housed a customs office in the marina. The customs hours are between the hours of 9 to 12 and from 1 to 6 in the evening, every day, Sunday to Sunday. However, the charges for customs for St. Vincent and the Grenadines is on arrival, you'll be charged 35 EC per person. And if it's a Saturday and a Saturday, Sunday, or any public holidays, it will be an extra 60 EC for the overtime fees. As long as you check customs in Blue Lagoon, you wouldn't need to go to customs in the smaller Grenadine Islands as Beckway, Mustique, Canawan, Meru, Tobago Keys, as these are all part of the St. Vincent and the Grenadine St. Vincent chain. From Blue Lagoon, we move on over to the island of Beckway, which will be sailing from Young Island, Blue Lagoon to Beckway, which will be an hour and a half. And as you come down and you approach the Admiralty Bay, which will be the first anchorage of Beckway, the danger point is the northwest point, which is right here. You normally has a marker which you need to leave to port side before coming into the anchorage. As you come into the anchorage, the middle of the bay is reserved for the ferry boats going back and forth between Beckway and St. Vincent. So however, you require to either take a mooring ball off the north side of the bay, or you could take one off the south side of the bay. If you prefer to be on the anchor and not a mooring ball, anchoring is allowed. You would need to anchor off the south part of the anchorage, which is off the Princess Margaret Beach, which is right here, which is all sandy bottom in depths of 8 to 10 feet of water. However, it will just run you a little bit longer dinghy ride into town, but basically it's a very safe anchorage. The mooring balls in the bay are run by the water taxi guys in the bay, and the fee for the mooring ball is 20 US or 50 EC for the night. In Admiralty Bay, it's a port of entry, as well as if you didn't clear customs coming into St. Vincent, this would be a chance also to clear customs, which the customs is located at the back of the ferry terminal, which is right here. Along the waterfront, there are numerous amount of restaurants to choose from. The Hummingbird is also in there. You have the Coco's Place, numerous amount of restaurants along there, as well as Jack's Bar, which is on Princess Margaret Beach. For those of you also into diving, the scuba diving is you got Dive Beckway or Adventurous Divers, which is diving in Beckway is fantastic diving. If you're into scuba diving, you can normally check with one of those dive operations on Admiralty Bay Beckway. As you exit Beckway, you come down along the west coast of the island along there, and you come around to the south coast of Beckway. You come into the first anchorage, you go on in onto Beckway, which will be Friendship Bay. Friendship Bay is a really rolly anchorage as it's open up to the Atlantic, so it could be quite rolly in in rough conditions. If it's in settled conditions, it could make a really nice anchorage. However, if you come in also on Petit Nevis, which is a small little island which lies off of Friendship Bay, you can come in and anchor off the west coast of the island. And the west coast is numerous coral heads, as well as it offers a wonderful day anchorage and a wonderful snorkeling spot. From there on, you leave exit Petit Nevis, you come between Middle Key and Petit Nevis, and a heading of 160 would set you off to Mustique, the island of Mustique. As you saw here, this is an overshot of Friendship Bay. As you come in, it's a really open out anchorage, so if you do anchor, you'll need to anchor off the northeastern part of the anchorage, which is right here. From there on, we sail on down, and then you come on to the west coast of Mustique, which will take you to the anchorage of Britannia Bay. Britannia Bay, the danger point coming in from Beckway, coming into Mustique, on Mustique into Britannia Bay, is off the west coast of the anchorage, lies Montezuma Shoal, which has a marker on it, a beacon on it, which you recommend to come into the anchorage close into the northwest point before coming to the anchorage, or come well south before coming into the anchorage. As you come into the anchorage, you come well north into the anchorage. You could either take a mooring ball off the north part of the anchorage or off the south part of the anchorage. The middle is a channel marker for which opens out to the ferry coming in from St. Vincent over to Mustique. Anchoring is prohibited. It's not allowed to anchor in the Britannia Bay and Mustique. It's all mooring ball, and you're advised to come in and pick up a mooring ball and tie up to it. Mustique is called Island of Rich and Famous, and the fee for the mooring ball will cost you 220 ECs or 75 US for 3 nights. So whether you spend 1 night, 2 nights, or 3 nights, it will be the same price. Mustique house to one of the Island of Rich and Famous, as celebrities have homes there, as Mick Jagger, Princess Margaret, David Bowie, as well as Tommy Hilfiger, as to name a few. There's a ferry dock, and next to the ferry dock you have a dinghy dock, which you could tie a dinghy on. Restaurants in the anchorage you have the famous Basil's Bar, as well as the Firefly, which will be south part of the anchorage, as well as if you do want to eat off to the Cotton House, you would need to make reservations ahead of time. For a tour around the island, which can be arranged for one of the local taxi guys on the island, which will be close to the dinghy dock, and an hour taxi tour on the island will cost you $60 an hour if you do. From Britannia Bay, we move on south down to the island of Canouan. And as you approach Canouan, you come into the 2 markers and you come into Grand Bay, it's also known as Charlestown Bay. You come in through the channel markers and you can anchor anywhere off the Tamarind Beach Hotel. The Tamarind Beach Hotel has a dinghy dock which you can tie your dinghy on. They also serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as in the anchorage, mooring balls are available from John's Yacht Services, which also supplies water if you do need water. It also rents the mooring balls, and it also supplies ice if you do need ice for your boat. Okay, the same way you come in, you can come through the same channel markers and you head on the southwest coast of the island. You come around the South Glossy Hill, which is home to the South Glossy Bay Marina, which monitors channel 16 on the VHF radio. Make sure if you're coming into the marina that you call them up on channel 16 and make contact, and then you will need to move to a working channel for docking instructions, as well as if you need to pick up water, you need to pick up ice, or if you need to pick up fuel. From South Glossy Hill, you come on south down past the Tobago Keys, and if you come on down south, which heads you right onto the Windward Bay on the island of Mayru. As you come on in, and then you come into the Windward Bay, if you turn around, you could line the day markers on Petit Bateau and Petit Ramo on a 140 to 150 magnetic, which will then take you into Tobago Keys. As you come in, the outer entrance is reserved for bigger boats, but you can come in through the narrow entrance we saw between Petit Ramo and Petit Bateau and come into the main anchorage which is right off in the middle here. The Horseshoe Reef, which starts from way north of the Tobago Keys and come on all the way south, offers the protection in the anchorage. So basically, it's really calm off into the anchorage. Would be windy, but very calm. As well as its mooring balls, if you're required to take a mooring ball, which costs you 45 EC for the night, as well as 10 EC per person for the park fees. They have also mooring balls along on the Horseshoe Reef, which you would take your dinghy up to, dinghy mooring balls, and then you can exit from there to go snorkeling on the outer part of Horseshoe Reef. You can anchor, also take your dinghy on to the island of Bardell, which also is the turtle area, and you can also have a good swim with the green turtles in the area. It's famous for that, and also as well as swim with the stingrays. For those of you wanting scuba diving, you can contact Grenadines Dive on Channel 16, located in Union Island, and they would basically come up to the Tobago Keys and pick you up from your boat, and then we'll take you either around to Horseshoe Reef or around to the Meru Gardens, which is back here. As you come in, the same way you came in, you head back out the same way, and then that will take you around to the island of Meru, which will then take you to the first island. You come between Catholic Island and the point of Meru, which will then take you on into Salt Whistle Bay. Salt Whistle Bay coming in, then the north part of the point on Salt Whistle Bay got really shallow, as well as the south part also houses a reef on the south part of the point. So it's wise to stick to the middle of the bay before you come into Salt Whistle Bay. Salt Whistle Bay houses a really wonderful beach and the depths of 7 to 8 feet of water in the anchorage. Mooring ball is available, which will cost you 60 EC for the night, as well as a tremendous amount of beach bars, as Black Boys Beach Bar and the last bar before the jungle. Offers lobster dinners and barbecue fish on the beach. From the dinghy dock here, there's a road which you could hike up to, which offers a wonderful hike, which will take you to the top of the hill of Meru, onto the village, and then down into the south part of the island, which will take you down to Saline Bay, which is the other anchorage on the other side. Leaving Salt Whistle Bay, you come on, you stick to the middle of the bay and come around the west coast, taking you down past Grande Cove Point, which has a marker on it, and then into Saline Bay. Saline Bay is a very open out anchorage. It can be rolly at times if you do have the winds, the swells from the north. However, come in really close to the beach and you can anchor in about 10 feet of water. The anchorage on here, it can take you, so there's a dinghy dock, which you can tie your dinghy onto, which you can take a hike up into the village, which will also take you over to the top of the hill, down into Salt Whistle Bay. From this point on here, you can see the island of Canawan, which is then South Glossy Bay Marina, Charleston Bay on Canawan. And in the foreground, which is here, you can see the island of Beckway, and over the top of Canawan, you will see the island of Mustique. From Saline Bay, you come on, you sail on south, then, which will take you down to Palm Island. Palm Island is a resort island. It's located in the Grenadines. It's not an overnight anchorage, it's only a day anchorage, as the anchorage can be very rolly at night. So you rather basically come in and anchor off the south side of the jetty, and you can anchor right off onto Palm Island. Across from Palm Island, you come over to Union Island. Union Island is protected by 2 reefs. The first one is Newlands Reef, which are some markers. You come right round. And the second reef on the inner part of the anchorage is Roundabout Reef. As you come on in, mooring balls are put all alongside Newlands Reef, which you can require to use those. And those costs, they charge a cost of 60 EC for the mooring ball, which is run by the Tobago Keys Marine Park Reserve. So the rangers can come in, write you up a ticket, and then you pay, which is along here. If, however, you prefer to be a little closer up into town, that would take you around, and you can anchor anywhere closer to town, or pick up a mooring ball anywhere closer to town. So you have a choice of anchor, or whether you have you also have a chance to take up a mooring ball. As you come in, Clifton Harbor, Union Island, is a port of entry. And for those of you continuing on to Grenada, you would first have to check out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which means you would have to go into the customs at the airport, which is only 5 minutes from the anchorage, to check your boat out of customs. which actually would cost you, if it's Monday to Friday, normal working hours, there was no charge. If it's a Saturday or Sunday or any holidays, they will charge you on 60 EC for the overtime. And customs from the Anchorage Yacht Club dock, if you walk over, which will take you down to the airport terminal, and it's only 5 minutes walk, and then you would do customs there. However, you can have a chance of anchoring, like I said, also mooring ball. From there on, if you do clear out customs, they grant you 24 hours permission to remain on the island, which means then you can sail over to Chatham Bay, which is on the west coast of the island, or you can sail from there directly onto Carriacou. For those of you heading back north back up to St. Lucia, you would need to do customs in Beckway or St. Vincent before sailing on back north over to St. Lucia. From Chatham Bay, from Union Island, Clifton Harbor, we come around the west coast of Union, and it's on the west coast you have also Chatham Bay. Chatham Bay is a very secluded anchorage and very laid back, so for those of you guys who are really trying to get away from the crowds, this will be a fantastic anchorage to get to. As you come on in, you come into the middle of the anchorage and you can anchor anywhere off the long 2-mile beach. The snorkeling of the north part of the anchor is fantastic snorkeling, as well as coming around to Rapid Point, which you get your access by dinghy. That's also wonderful snorkeling. There are a few beach bars on there, Sunset Beach Bar, Seki's Beach Bar, as to they also offers barbecue also for the night. If, however, you do want to eat on shore, that is also possible that you can do this on the Chatham Bay. For those of you guys are into hiking, from there on, there was a really nice trail which will take you to the top of the hill on Chatham Bay, which will give you a great view of the Grenadines, Middle Grenadines, as well as take you on to the the northwest coast of Union Island. From there on, we move over to Mopion Island, which is close on to Petit St. Vincent, which will be the last island of St. Vincent. And as you know, Mopion Island is right here. And as you come in, you can anchor right off Mopion Island, and this is only a day stop. As to those of you guys who are into snorkeling, this is a very fantastic snorkeling area. You can use this for a day stop and then move over for your night stop over to Petit St. Vincent, which is right over here. Anchoring in Petit St. Vincent, you come in and anchor anywhere along the south coast of the island in about 10 to 15 feet of water depth. It's all sandy bottom. There are no mooring balls, so you do have to anchor. And as you look on here, there's a beach bar on Petit St. Vincent. St. Vincent is home to PSV Resort. It's a whole island is resort, but it's also open out to boats who want to come in and have dinner. If you do, however, want to have dinner on the resort or a beach bar, it is highly recommended that you make a booking at least 12 hours ahead of time to get a seating, as it can be very limited. Across in the foreground, you'll see the island of Carriacou, which will be the first island of Grenada, and also the island of the inner part there, which will be Petite Martinique. For those of you heading just into St. Vincent waters, this will be the last island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as we move over on into the islands of Grenada. So for those of you heading back north, you would then either have to sail back north, get over to Beckway to check out, or into Blue Lagoon to check out, and head up north of St. Vincent back over to St. Lucia. You would either go back to the Soufrière to clear in, or if you go on into Marigot Bay, you will check back in, or if you move over up into Rodney Bay, you can also check in into customs in Rodney Bay. As you sail on down to Carriacou, you come onto the west coast of the island to Sunday Island, which will then be on the coast of Carriacou. And this island here is a marine reserve, so anchoring is not allowed. And there are mooring balls in the area. So for in this area on the west side of it, on the south side of it, it's all mooring ball. And then you do take up one of those mooring balls, the ranger is gonna come in later on, write up a receipt, and then you'll pay him either 20 US or 50 AC for the night. As well as there's a snorkel fee of $2 US per person to snorkel in the anchorage. The north part of the anchorage is fantastic snorkeling, as well as those of you who are into scuba diving. On the east side, southwest side of the anchorage of the island also offers fantastic diving. So if you want to dive, you'll need to call our divers on channel 16, will then come up to your boat to pick you up and then take you on for diving. For those of you, Sandy Island is recommended as a day anchorage as it offers no protection, So in highly windy area, in windy times, you would need to move over to Tyrrell Bay, which is much more protected. In settled conditions, you, however, can spend the night over at Sandy Island. As you come in, this is Sandy Island here, so you would be coming in this direction, come down. This is Jackadan Island, you leave that to port side, and then you would anchor anywhere off Sandy Island. The island you see in the foreground, which would be Union Island, Clifton Harbor, Union Island, and then you see Chatham Bay. You come in or off between Carriacou and Mabia Island, come around the point, and you come south from center into the anchorage of Tyrrell Bay. Tyrrell Bay is the first port of entry, the only port of entry for Carriacou, and it's the first port of entry for Grenada and the Grenada Grenadines, which then will come into the main anchoring field, and then you anchor in about 10 feet of water. For those of you needing to do customs, you come in, take your dinghy, and you come into the Tyrrell Bay Marina, which is right over here, and then you come into the main building, which will house the customs. Customs hours is in Tyrrell Bay. They're open between the hours of 8 to 12 and from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. On Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, they are open between the hours of 9 to 2. The charges for customs for Carriacou and Grenada, which is the same country, they'll charge you 75 EC for a cruising permit, and they'll charge you 12 EC per person to come in. As long as you've cleared customs in Tyrrell Bay, when you sail on down to Grenada, you would need to do customs in Grenada, as you already done customs in Tyrrell Bay, which also covers Grenada. If, however, you didn't clear in Tyrrell Bay, didn't have a chance to clear in Tyrrell, and you move over down to Grenada, you would go to, when you get into the Port Louis Marina, you would need to do customs, as you grant you 24 hours permission. Customs is basically, like I said, in the Tyrrell Bay Marina, which is right over here. Sailing then from Tyrrell Bay, you sail down to the west coast. The north coast of Grenada offers no anchorages, as there is no protection. And you come on down to the south part of Grenada. You come down into Dragon Bay. So in this area here, there are 3 anchorages which you can overnight at. The first one here, which is Flamingo Bay, which you come in, which is anchored right off the northern part of it. There are mooring balls there. If you move down over, you can also anchor in, or take a mooring ball in Dragon Bay, as they also mooring balls also in Flamingo Bay. You also have mooring balls in Dragon Bay. Okay, Dragon Bay is also an overnight mooring, and also basically you come over to Molyneux Bay, which is right here. So Molyneux Bay, Dragon Bay, and Flamingo Bay all are overnight anchorages. As you come on in, you can overnight, and in the Molyneux Point, which is in this area, which is called a sculpture pad, which is worked for diving or snorkeling, which is this artist designed those sculptures and put them down, and then you can scuba dive over them and snorkel over them, which are one fantastic spot to do. So then that would be your last night over here, last night on before returning the boat back to the Moorings base. The Moorings base is located in the St. George's Lagoon area. And as you come in through the main port of Grenada, and then coming on to the south side of the bay, you make an exit between the red markers and the green markers, and then come into the inner lagoon. The marina, which is called the Port Louis Marina, Moorings base, is on the docks on the south side of the docks of the marina. When you're coming into the bay and you get into the lagoon, you're required to call the moorings on channel 1414 or on your boat phone, and they will advise you as to docking instructions. So you come in through there here, and then come in through, and then come into the lagoon, and then you call the moorings based on channel 14, which then they'll advise you as to basically for docking instructions, and you can ask them for docking instructions, so they'll take on to you for docking instructions. At the end of your charter, when you come in, make sure you come in an hour before. Our charter ends at 11 a.m. as it gives you enough time to pack your bags, have a debrief, clean up, make sure you leave the boat in a tidy condition, seamanship-like, that all garbage is removed. For early departure, you need to return to the base no later than 4 p.m. Late returns, if you're taking in the boat late, or you can also, an additional charge on return, which are the boat base manager's discretion. For those of you leaving a tip for the staff, leave it with customer service as management has a fair distribution. For skippers, those of you guys who have a skipper and a cook, services customary to leave a tip with the skipper or cook as to that. And then you guys, this has come to the end of the chart briefing for the moorings base for Moorings, St. Lucia and Moorings, Grenada. We wish you a happy sailing, great vacation, and then we hope to see you guys soon in the Windward Islands sailing with the Moorings. Thank you.